Hi YouTube, it's Kathy and this is my weekly entertainment wrap-up for November 20th through 26th. This week I read one book, I watched 3 shows, I watched 3 comedy specials, and I listened to 1 book. Additionally, this is my 1000th video on YouTube. When I started making YouTube videos 7 years ago, it was really drilled into me that consistency is key in channel growth. And even when it ended up being advice that actually didn't get my channel to grow all that much, I kept doing it, obviously, because I've been making these videos for almost 6 years and I've never missed a week, and this is number 308. In addition, I've been super consistent with monthly wrap-ups, which I've been doing for almost 5 years now. And of course, I consistently co-host the Queer Lit Readathon, which is coming up not next week, but the week after. That's all to say there's a lot about BookTube that is ever present in my life, and I enjoy that, and I don't think I'm going to stop anytime soon. But as I pointed out on Twitter and Instagram last night, having a hobby channel is very different from the you need to make it big and get monetized and do brand deals and stuff like that. Okay, yeah, I do sometimes get books from publishers or authors or that type of thing, but I don't make money off this. This is my hobby. It's also been so interesting to me to watch people I know start their channels and then explode with popularity, and everybody gets that little twinge of jealousy, how come everybody likes so-and-so better than they like me? And you know what? That can feel pretty hard, but then I remember it's November and my seasonal affective disorder really swings and kicks in at this time, and then I remember that there are people that like me, and it's okay if there are more people that like other people. That's fine. Which is a roundabout way of saying thank you to everyone who watches my videos, even the lurkers who don't comment. Yes, thank you to you as well. Thank you to the commenters, obviously, because it's nice to know that people are actually hearing my words sometimes. But it's just good to know that not only do I get enjoyment out of making the videos, 1,000 of them at this point, or more because I've made videos for other channels before, but in addition to that, people like yourself actually watch these videos, so thank you for that. The book I read this week is I'm in Love with Mothman by Paige Lavoie. I've actually met Paige before, actually, at BookNet Fest, so I did not plan this shirt situation at all. She is an absolutely lovely lady. I believe she's from Florida, and I'm very excited that I got to read this ahead of time. This one comes out next month. This is also the first in a series, and now that I've read this one, I can't wait for the second one to come out. I'm in Love with Mothman is about a girl named Heather. She's known online as Honeybee Latte, and she has a huge following. She's in her early 20s and she's in the beauty sphere, and her mother actually had one of the OG mommy blogs when she was growing up, so basically every detail of her life was broadcast to the world without her asking for it. And she basically just hits a breaking point where she needs a break from everything online. She just wants to completely unplug, so out of nowhere she buys a cabin in the middle of the woods in Ohio and just moves. Her mom isn't very supportive of this, but she's really excited about this new step of her life and kind of the feeling of doing all of these things but not documenting them like she's used to doing. But it's also oddly refreshing to meet some new people in this small town and maybe make friends with them. Although I must say, some of these people have weird hobbies like monster hunting. One of them is pretty sure that there is a monster in the woods, and he and his friends have been trying to hunt it for years. Now, I told you the title of this book and I showed you the cover, so you can probably guess which monster actually exists in these woods. And if you're like me and you had heard of Mothman before, but you really didn't know the lore of Mothman, weirdly enough this week I also watched a video by Bratterstein that is all about the lore of Mothman, so I'll try to remember to link that down below because that definitely helps out. But you don't need to know that ahead of time. You can go into this and enough of the lore is explained so that you will not be missing anything. This romance was sweet and lovely and full of strife and people taking care of each other, and I just need the next book because oh my goodness, the way that left off. So if you're looking for cottagecore with a twist, definitely pick this one up when it comes out next month. On to what I watched this week. I watched the RuPaul's Drag Race UK Season 4 finale, and I had a top 2 in mind, and the second place of that top 2 is who won. So congratulations to that person. In case you haven't seen the episode, I don't want to wreck it for you, but it is also all over social media. That's why I personally have to watch these episodes pretty quickly because I don't want to be ruined by scrolling through Instagram or whatever. Did my top choice win? No. Am I mad about it? Also no, because this person was like my 49% and the other person was my 51% probably. And either way, this season just had wonderful talent. And now knowing that Cheddar Gorgeous, I believe, actually has a doctorate in queer studies, I kind of want to look up queer studies and see if there's some syllabi that I can just do my own studies, because I do not have the money to actually go to an institute and have them teach me, but I can read. Hello, Kathy from editing here. I actually had to look up Cheddar Gorgeous's educational background because I just didn't want to be wrong. And it turns out Cheddar has a bachelor's degree in social work, a Master of Arts in Visual Anthropology, a master's degree in anthropology, and a Doctor of Philosophy, PhD Anthropology with Visual Media, and I'm just going to read the information about that because it's fascinating. My work explored identity fluidity among male street sex workers, the emergence of urban queer spaces, and use of creative methods in research. All of that just sounds really cool. Cheddar Gorgeous is really cool. I also watched this week's episode of Canada's Drag Race, Canada vs. the World, which was the second episode and was the Snatch Summit. So of course we have Snatch Game, but they made it into more of a summit style, and this wasn't super successful for me, this change up. However, I kind of see why they did it, because after they had done that and before they did the main stage of the week, they brought in the Prime Minister of Canada. This is the first world leader to ever appear on an episode of RuPaul's Drag Race, so that was kind of cool. I'm not going to get into too much of what was said in that whole thing, but like, it was cool that he showed up, it was cool that he talked about the diversity of the country, and it was especially good to hear that he knows that we have a long way to go. When it comes down to who was in the bottom two, I'm happy that the person who went home, because if we were just going to drag along a person for the whole season being in the bottom two the whole time, I don't like that. I don't like when they just drag somebody along to the top like that. Especially because that gives me Survivor vibes, where they're always bringing along somebody they know is not going to win, just so it makes them look better by comparison. The other thing I watched this week was about 9 episodes of House. We're into the 5th season. It's just the very beginning of the 5th season, and I continue to enjoy this. I don't think I would actually enjoy House as a person if I were to meet him ever. There's definitely been some times, like obviously he's not a great person, he's kind of a jackass, that type of thing, and we tolerate him because he's brilliant. But yeah, every once in a while he says things where I'm just like, ooh, our politics are not the same, sir. As I mentioned at the beginning, I didn't actually watch any movies this week, but I did watch 5 different comedy specials. The first one was Ali Wong Baby Cobra. I had never seen anything by her before, but my roommates had been laughing to 2 of her other comedy specials, and I overheard all this laughing and went, well, whatever it is, I probably can't just go in halfway through, so I'm just gonna leave it alone and let them have their fun, and I'm gonna keep reading. What was fun about this for me is there were a few things in this special that I was like, I don't know how I feel about that, and then I said that out loud, and they were like, actually, funnily enough, the other specials we watched are her more recent ones, and her viewpoint has changed in those ones. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. This is an older special, she's grown over time. Okay, good to know. We also watched Taylor Tomlinson, Quarter Life Crisis, and this was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the spunky energy she had. I really enjoyed that she was not afraid to just talk about like her religious upbringing and that type of stuff. Overall, what I really remember is just like wholesome but funny. Next, and I'm going to say this last name wrong because I'm not even sure I wrote it down properly. Next, we watched Eliza, this last name, Confirmed Kills. I think out of these 3 women, this was definitely my favorite set. Mostly to do with Party Goblin. Her physicality when she does her comedy is just so absolutely wonderful. And it's not just because she's got this one character down, which she definitely does. Party Goblin is a wonderful character that she utilizes. But then at the end of this, she also does this bit about Shark Tank, and just her physicality and her acting through that was just fantastic. So I think out of these 3 women, she was definitely my favorite. Then, because I've only ever seen him as a judge on RuPaul's Drag Race Down Under, we watched Rhys Nicholson live at the Athenaeum. And funnily enough, Megan had recently watched a show that he's actually in, and I didn't know he was actually in shows as an actor. So there's a fun fact. I kind of assumed that I would be amused by him because I have been amused by him in the past, and I was not disappointed. He had some funny jokes. I had a good time with it. After that, we then watched Trevor Noah, I Wish You Would, and this was absolutely hilarious. I had no idea that Trevor Noah could do so many different accents so well. And because of that, I particularly enjoyed his story about ordering curry in Edinburgh. One, because it's Edinburgh and I love Edinburgh, and two, because that story was fantastic and definitely had to do with using different accents. On to the book I listened to this week, and that was A Scatter of Light by Malinda Lo. Now this is a book about a girl named Aria. As we're meeting her, she has just recently graduated high school, and there was some drama just at the end of her high school experience, which was not great. And because of what happened to her, her summer plans have drastically changed. You see, there was kind of an end of the year party, she had a couple of drinks, she ended up making out with somebody, and then that somebody took some nude photos of her and posted them online. Did that person get in any trouble for what he did? No. Did she get uninvited to all of her summer plans? Yes. Did the school or literally anybody do anything about it? No. So instead of spending her summer on Martha's Vineyard with her friends before they all go off to college, she's actually spending her summer in California at her grandmother's place. While she's there, she meets a group of queer friends, and she makes some realizations about herself. I really enjoyed this book. This book had some really tough and sticky situations in it. Not only the one I've already described, but one you will come to find out should you read this book. And I appreciated that because life can be very, very messy, especially when you're this young and you're just trying to figure things out. I was also not emotionally prepared for a small connection to Malinda Lo's Last Night at the Telegraph Club, so when that moment happened, I cried. I think I'm just a really big fan of authors who write books in the same universe and have just these little Easter eggs that don't actually really impact the plot too much, but if you know, you know, and it's just, ow, my heart. If you're looking for a messy queers read, this is definitely one I would recommend. That's it for this week. Thank you once again for sticking it out with me through 1,000 YouTube videos. If you ever want to go back and see any of those old videos, I have tons of different playlists which include every video I ever put captions on, which is most of them. There's just some really, really, really old ones that I personally don't want to rewatch. I also have different playlists for every type of video, so if you're looking for TBR videos or tag videos or weekly entertainment wrap-up videos or monthly wrap-up videos or Queer Lit Readathon related videos or anything like that, there's a playlist for it. Just check out my channel. If you've read, watched, or listened to any of these, let me know about it down in the comments below. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. If you don't feel like leaving a comment but want to make sure that I know you were here, just leave me an emoji or smiley face if you happen to be on your keyboard. Some people have asked if there's a way to financially support this channel, so I set up a Ko-fi account, which is a digital tipping service. The link for that, as always, is down below. I've also got tons of other links down below, so if you've never checked out the description of my videos, check it out. There's lots down there. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you very soon. Bye!